Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to Daily English Stories and Podcasts. I'm so happy you're here with me again. Today's story is a simple one, a morning that didn't go the way I planned, but ended up teaching me something small and beautiful. It all started at the bus stop. It was a Monday morning, the kind that always feels heavier than the rest of the week. You know that feeling the weekend just ended, your bed feels extra soft, and your alarm seems louder than usual. That day my alarm didn't just seem louder, it didn't ring at all. I opened my eyes and saw sunlight already filling the room. Something felt wrong. I looked at my phone. 7:48 a.m. My bus comes at 8 o'clock. My office is 40 minutes away. I hadn't even brushed my teeth yet. Perfect, I said to myself, and jumped out of bed like a superhero in slow motion. I ran around the apartment trying to do 5 things at once. Brush my teeth, make coffee, find socks, check the weather, and iron my shirt. But of course I burned my toast, spilled the coffee, and couldn't find a matching pair of socks anywhere. When I finally got dressed, I realized my shirt had a small stain near the pocket. I tried to hide it with my bag strap. It didn't work. By the time I left the house, I was sweating and out of breath, the classic Monday look. I reached the bus stop at 8:02, just in time to see the bus drive away. I waved hopelessly, but of course it didn't stop. I stood there for a moment watching it disappear down the street, and then I just started laughing, because what else could I do? I sat down on the bench and took a deep breath. The morning air was warm but fresh. People hurried past, some on bikes, some on foot, everyone in their own rush. Across the street, a woman was selling B&H meat from a small cart. The smell of warm bread and grilled pork filled the air. It was impossible to resist. I walked over, bought one sandwich, and asked the woman, "Has the 8 o'clock bus already gone?" She smiled kindly and said, "Of course, but don't worry, another will come. Everything comes if you wait long enough." Her words were simple, but they stayed in my head. I thanked her and went back to the bench with my sandwich. The bus stop was getting busier. A group of students in blue uniforms were laughing, trying to balance their heavy school bags while eating breakfast. An old man sat near the corner, reading a newspaper so big it almost covered his face. A delivery guy was leaning on his motorbike, scrolling on his phone and humming a pop song. It was chaotic, but in a strangely beautiful way. Everyone was heading somewhere, but for a few minutes we were all together in this small, noisy corner of the city. As I sat eating, I thought about how life often pushes us to move faster. We rush from one thing to another, from home to work, from task to task, without ever noticing what's happening around us. But sometimes when you're forced to stop, like when you miss your bus, you actually start to see. A few minutes later, a little girl and her mother arrived at the stop. The girl was holding a red balloon and skipping happily. She looked around and said, "Mommy, where's the bus?" Her mother smiled. "It'll come soon. Be patient," the girl pouted. "But I don't like waiting," the mother laughed. "Then let's make waiting fun." She started singing softly, and the girl joined in, their voices blending with the morning noise. I couldn't help smiling. Sometimes joy is just that simpler song while you wait. After about 10 minutes, an old woman sat down beside me. She was holding a basket of fresh vegetables, and her hair was tied neatly in a bun. She looked at my half-eaten sandwich and said, "Young man, you should eat slower. The bus isn't going to fly away." I laughed. "You sound like my mother," she smiled. "Good. Then maybe I'm helping her from far away." We talked for a while about how the buses were always late, about how the city had changed, and about how the mornings never feel the same after you turn 60. Her voice was soft but full of humor. When I asked if she took the bus every day, she nodded. I visit my sister on Mondays. She's not well, but she loves to see my even if all we do is drink tea and complain about our knees. I laughed again. She grinned and said, "See? Even complaining can be a kind of love." As we talked, the students finished their food and began teasing each other. One of them accidentally dropped his drink. It splashed on the ground and he shouted, "Ah, my coffee!" Everyone laughed, even the old man behind the newspaper. For a moment, the whole bus stop felt like a small family, strangers connected by ordinary life. Then, from a distance, I heard the familiar sound of an engine. The next bus was finally coming. People stood up quickly, checking their pockets, gathering their bags. The old woman beside me smiled. "See, it always comes just when people start to forget about it." I smiled back. "Thank you for the company," I said. She nodded. "Enjoy your ride, and don't eat so fast next time." When I got on the bus, I found a seat near the window. The air conditioner hummed quietly, and sunlight flickered through the moving trees outside. As the bus pulled away, I looked back. The old woman was still there, waiting for the next one. I opened my phone to check the time. It was already 8:45. I was definitely going to be late. But strangely, I didn't care anymore. I felt calm, as if the day had already taught me its lesson before it even began. Halfway through the ride, the bus stopped at another station. A group of people got Anna. Young couple arguing softly. A man carrying flowers. And a boy with headphones lost in his own world. I love moments like that, when everyone's story crosses for just a few minutes before going separate ways again. Seat beside me opened and the man with the flowers sat down. He looked nervous. After a few seconds, I said, "Someone special." He nodded and smiled shyly. "My wife. It's our anniversary. I'm late, but I hope she forgives me." I laughed. "Bring flowers, she will." He chuckled. "Maybe, but maybe I'll buy chocolate too, just in case." We both laughed. It's funny, a simple conversation between two strangers can make a long ride feel shorter. When I finally reached my stop, I got off the bus feeling lighter than when I started. The day hadn't gone as planned. I was late, tired, and still had coffee stains on my shirt, but I felt grateful. Because sometimes the world gives you a pause you didn't ask for. And that pause turns into something worth remembering. That morning at the bus stop wasn't just about waiting for a ride. It was about people, kind ones, funny ones, ordinary ones all sharing a few minutes of the same morning under the same sun. Thank you for spending this story with me. Next time you miss your bus, or your day doesn't go as planned, try not to get upset. Maybe it's just life reminding you to slow down, to notice the smell of warm bread, to talk to a stranger, or to smile at something small. Because sometimes the best journeys begin while you're waiting for another one to start. See you next time for another gentle story on Daily English Stories and Podcasts.